I'm going to jump straight into this story. I was asked to write an article for Mamma Mia, which is a pretty big publication here in Australia, about the dramas surrounding the City Point Christian College and their contract that they recently emailed through to parents and are making parents sign. I'm not going to say much more than I'm just going to read this and then we're going to have a chat afterwards. This article that I've written really succinctly and clearly just outlines everything that I want to say in just an easy-to-consume manner. So let's go. On Friday, Brisbane's City Point Christian College emailed parents an updated contract for them to sign on behalf of their child. If left unsigned, it meant the student would no longer attend the college. The email was sent without any discussion with the faculty and was sent days before class was to resume in 2022. It was sent with the approval from the principal, Brian Mulheron. In the updated contract, it is stated that students must live by the Declaration of Faith. This declaration is provided for reference at the end of the email contract. It is openly anti-abortion, homophobic and transphobic. I'm a 35-year-old gay male who lives in Brisbane. I attended a Catholic high school. I'm no longer religious, and while I understand the importance of religion and appreciate it, I also understand how it can have extremely outdated views that no longer reflect the time we are living in. These views have real-world consequences, and the effects on the students who attend not only City Point but many other deeply religious private schools. This language has been around for 50 years. It is now at a point where a school thinks they can put in a contract and not face any repercussions. When I posted about this on Facebook, I was met with many questions about why I care and why should I say anything at all if I'm not a parishioner of the church. I'll try and break this down for you as best as I can. Here are my answers to the many questions people have raised with me. Question 1. If you don't agree, then don't send your kids here. That is one of the most common questions, and I still get it, even though I've explained it many times. Here's what I have to say to people who ask that. It's a very valid question. As a proud member of the LGBTQIA+ community, I have an obligation to stand by my friends, brothers and sisters, and fight the battles that they can't. Such open discrimination against them in their formative years has a deep psychological effect. They carry these effects with them for the rest of their life. I have had countless messages sent to me from people in their 40s and 50s telling me their stories about City Point and many other private religious schools in Australia. They share with me deep mental anguish, not understanding the world they live in, and in some cases, how they entered into marriage thinking it would solve the problem. For me, this is a clear-cut case of brainwashing, being told one thing over and over until you yourself believe it to be true. I've been told stories of how people cannot cope and ultimately end their life. This is another question I get often. Can't a church just teach what it wants to? My answer is no, it absolutely can't. We have laws to protect us for this reason. We have the Sexuality and Gender Discrimination Bill, which was introduced in 2003, which prohibits discrimination on the grounds of sexuality, transgender identity, or intersex status. I also want to highlight the fact that in 2019, the state and federal government provided City Point Christian College with $13 million. Now, I did receive a message to say that that figure in 2020 was upwards of $14 million. So over the course of 2 years, they've received close to $30 million of taxpayer money. The government also provides tax cuts to the City Point Church, an organisation with approximately over 10,000 Australian members. I think closer to 17,000. This funding is paid for by you and me. This is why Australia has a say in this issue. Many of these organisations don't believe that mental health exists. I have had countless DMs telling me how teachers have denied that a student is suffering from depression or anxiety. One parent even shared with me a story about how she had a meeting to go over, I think it would have been about mental health struggles that her child is going through. And the school, it's not funny, don't laugh, said, yeah, we'll perform an exorcism. An exorcism. That's their mental health plan. Depression, that's not real. We'll perform an exorcism. Oh, God, you look anxious, which is a fake mental health illness. Let's perform an exorcism. Do we want $30 million of our money going to these private religious schools, which the state and federal government doesn't have a say in? I watched the education minister here in Queensland, the state education minister, Grace. What a great name. And she, is a Labor MP, and she was like, we can't do anything. And she's forwarded it to the Human Rights Commission. She's trying to do her absolute best to push this legally where she can. But ultimately, for some weird reason, even though the Queensland state government has given $3 million, or, in the last 3 years, probably $9 million to this school, she can't do anything. I'm like, how does that even work? Another question I get is, Christian, why is this impacting on you personally? Like, what is the impact on you personally? You don't have kids, you don't go to the school, you're not a practicing Christian, you're not religious in any way. Why are you taking such an interest in this? And this is what I've said. Students who are fed anti-LGBTQIA plus rhetoric grow up believing it. They then enter the workforce and hold positions of power and make decisions based on their faith. And what I mean by that is, these kids go to this school. They go to this school, and they basically, they identify as a cisgendered straight person, but they have been taught that, gays are bad. Gender identity isn't real. Mental health is not a thing. So they go into the workforce with those values. And suddenly they're hiring staff, and they'll have a chat to a staff member and go, oh, this person's openly gay. Oh, I'm not going to hire that. That's not part of my values. So it starts impacting on my life because I want a job, but this person is got these extreme Christian values that have been taught to them, and they don't know any better. This is the thing. These people don't know any better because they have been brought up being taught this. That from an early age, they have been taught that homosexuality is a sin. Of course you're going to believe it. We've been brought up to know murder is bad. We've been brought up to believe that. Murder is bad. There's no way you can convince me it's good. But, this is what happens. You're just constantly told the same thing. So you go into the big wide world thinking that's what everyone believes. And a lot of these messages from former students of schools like this have said, my whole world was shattered when I realised this isn't the view of everyone. This is the view of a small minority. It's not too small, but, a minority of people. And the guilt that they have felt, and the fact that, a lot of them who identify as homosexual are like, oh my God, my life's not a sin. This isn't, and then they go through this, just, it shatters your existence to go, wow, my childhood was a lie. And so, it becomes my problem. It becomes society's problem because these kids come out into the universities, the workforce, and then they're suffering from these mental issues created by these schools. And we already have just, an overworked mental health system. And I go on to say they hold positions of power. And an example being our current Prime Minister, a member of the Hillsong Church, a church that isn't openly homophobic, as much as City Point, but it is nonetheless, it is a homophobic organisation. It masks its homophobia. Not very well, but it's not writing it in a contract, thankfully. Or not even thankfully. You know what? The fact that City Point has written it in a contract is its downfall, and we finally have something tangible that we can go, see this? This is not okay. Anyways, I go on. According to the Prime Minister, the church doesn't dictate his policies. He has said the church does not dictate my policies. However, last year, he introduced a bill that allows religious freedoms. It claims it will protect Australians from discrimination on the basis of religious beliefs and activity. This bill means City Point can make parents sign a contract with openly homophobic and transphobic language. How is it in 2022 that we are becoming more archaic and creating more archaic laws than ever before? Our Prime Minister has shown just no leadership over the last 4 years, in my opinion. You got his holiday to Hawaii during the worst bushfires this country has ever seen. He completely bungled and mishandled the sexual assault of Brittany Higgins. He's covered for the rape allegations of Christian Porter and countless other ministers who have just disgraced the Liberal Party. You know, what was brought against Christian Porter was a rape. And then when he was taken to court, there was an anonymous donor. Someone donated $1 million, of which he used to pay for his court battle. And that is an illegal donation. And it wasn't disclosed. And everyone was like, oh, you need to tell us. Legally, you have to tell us who's done it. And Scott Morrison blocked that. And he said, nah, we're not going to say anything. Which means it's come from someone really bad. It's probably come from the Liberal Party themselves. Or Jerry Harvey. Allegedly, I don't know. I have no idea. You know, for me, I feel like Scott Morrison, who's oh my God, it's just like he has shown no leadership, and he doesn't tend to make decisions. And it is of my opinion that he sort of is presented with a problem and he sits back and goes, oh, well, the Lord will tell me what to do. And he waits for the Lord to tell him something, but he gets nothing. He never makes a decision. He constantly says one thing and does another thing. You know, we don't want these people running the country. God knows how we got elected in the first place. There is a petition I would love for you to sign. It's got, what's it up to now? It's got like 140,000 signatures for City Point to renounce the contract and change the language. And do you know what happened? Last night, the principal, Brian, sorry, released a video statement to the parents of the school. Now, he did it behind an online portal that you had to log into. Now, thankfully, I have connections who were able to film that video on their phone and send it to me. I'm not going to play it for you. You can find it on my Facebook. It's so boring. It is 6 minutes of pure contradictory waffle. He would make a great guest on my podcast because he spent 6 minutes and 10 seconds, and to sum up what he said, it was smirking, lots of smirking, basically saying that all the communication he's had with people has been in support of the contract. Lies. And he's like, do you know what? He said, I've decided, and I was like, and then he goes on to extend the time frame in which parents are required to sign it from the 7th of February to the 21st of February. That's what he's done. He's not changing the language. He's not changing anything. He goes on to say that he accepts every student, regardless of their sexuality or their gender identity. I'm like, what do you mean? No. And then he says, but you will be required to sign a contract. That is two contradictory things. Brian, you can't have both. No, Brian. So I just love saying that. It's one or the other, mate. You cannot tell me that you accept all of your students and then in the same sentence say they are still required to sign that contract. And, you know, the timing of this couldn't be more perfect. And I think that's why, you know, I'm following through with this, is because this is our best chance to say, you know, this religious discrimination bill, this is what it's going to get us. And it's not just going to be City Point. It's going to be a lot of schools. And finally, there is like a physical, written piece of evidence to go, here's the language that these schools are using. And it's been going on for 50 years. Anyways, thanks for listening. I need a drink of water. need a drink of water, and I need to go on Grindr and get my stress out. Pound my stress out! Stop it, Christian. Don't stop.